Have you ever read something um, so raw and just unfiltered that it feels less like literature and more like you've, I don't know, accidentally intercepted someone's panic attack? Today we're doing a deep dive into a tiny, highly explicit snippet of stream of consciousness text.
Yeah, it really is an intense read. It's heavily laced with profanity, and honestly, it's just a little disorienting.
Right, so definitely consider that a warning to you listening. The source material relies on some heavy profanity and really aggressive imagery. But, you know, we aren't here to judge the language. We're here to look at the psychological whiplash that happens in just a handful of lines.
Exactly. And it really is a study in extremes. I mean, the text opens with this intensely violent, shocking image. The line is, Glock in my mouth.
Which is, yeah, incredibly dark.
Oh, absolutely. But then, almost in the exact same breath, the narrator frantically tries to project this dominance. They say, this ain't gay. I ain't gay with this fucking gun.
Wow, yeah,
Okay.
that's quite a pivot.
Right. So you have this moment of ultimate physical vulnerability that's just completely overshadowed by a frantic need to, police their own perceived masculinity.
Like they just have to immediately shut down any perceived weakness. And then the narrator starts shouting these dismissive commands at some unnamed person, right? You're like, bitch, yeah, this cool, fucking get out, bitch, get the fuck back to school.
Yeah, and they wrap all that up with, I ain't here for this kind of shit.
You know, it honestly reminds me of a pufferfish.
A pufferfish, how so?
Well, like you see this deadly scenario, right?
Mm.
But instead of actual violence, the narrator's just swallowing water to inflate and pop out all these spikes.
Yeah.
Like it's all just an impenetrable, exaggerated persona to mask how vulnerable they actually feel.
Oh, I love that analogy. The spikes aren't weapons at all. They're an alarm system.
Yeah.
Because psychologically, when someone is backed into a corner, the easiest way to artificially regain control is to just project hyper-aggression.
Right, puffing up to look big.
Exactly. The sheer density of the profanity and those frantic commands to leave. I mean, none of it reads like a genuine physical threat. It's a desperate boundary being drawn by someone who feels entirely out of control.
And that boundary completely collapses. The second, a totally different kind of vulnerability is introduced.
Yes, the pivot here in the second half is fascinating.
Because, I mean, we've all had that sudden jolt of panic when someone touches our phone, right? But this text takes it to a completely surreal level. The narrator walks into a room, realizes people have been snooping through their device, and the whole tough guy act just shatters.
It completely shatters. The linear narrative breaks down entirely at this point. We shift from that outward aggressive posturing straight into this acute internal paranoia.
It gets so chaotic so fast.
Yeah, the thoughts become totally fragmented. They say, yo, pick it up, put it down, levitate, look around on the ground. Where'd they go? Who's this bitch?
Okay, wait, I have to push back a little here on that word levitate. That completely breaks the gritty realism of the scene. Is the narrator literally hallucinating here? Or is this just like the writer throwing in a chaotic, poetic flourish?
Well, it's actually highly likely a literal description of psychological dissociation.
Wait, really? Just from someone checking their phone?
Yeah, think about it. When your brain experiences a sudden, overwhelming spike in stress, like the sheer panic of having your deepest private thoughts violated your amygdala essentially overloads.
Ah, so the brain just sort of shorts out.
Exactly. To protect you from that emotional flood, your brain can temporarily unmoor from physical reality. The grounded sensation of the room literally dissolves around them.
So the levitating is real to them in that moment.
Yes, levitating perfectly describes that out-of-body, floaty sensation people often experience during a severe panic attack. It's the ultimate flight response kicking in when your physical body can't actually run away.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So, like, the stress of the phone being breached is so high that their brain literally hits the eject button on reality.
Right. In just a few lines, we go from a hyper-aggressive, dominant facade straight into a dissociative, paranoid tailspin.
Which is wild to see mapped out like that.
It really is, and I think it highlights the value of analyzing raw, unfiltered stream of consciousness writing like this. It gives us a real-time look at the scaffolding of human defense mechanisms. We get to see exactly how quickly the armor cracks.
It really does. And, you know, that leaves you with a pretty unsettling thought to walk away with today.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast.
Like in the opening line, the narrator literally has a loaded gun in their mouth, right? But they're still actively worried about looking cool and protecting their image.
Right, the posturing is still fully there.
But it's only when someone looks through their phone that they completely lose their grip on reality. So it really makes you wonder, have our digital lives become so deeply tied to our actual identities that a breached screen is now processed by our brains as a greater mortal threat than an actual physical weapon?